You got to accentuate the positive. Wow, I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not this fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
Hello. Welcome to another show, Accentuating the Positive with Karen Swain. So wonderful to be with you all. And we've got a wonderful guest for you. We're going to talk about the ET presence on Earth and how this is ascending human consciousness with Viviane Chauvet. Welcome to the show, Viviane. Oh, I think you might be
Thank you
muted.
so much, Karen, for being to inviting me again. It's wonderful to be back and to be in your presence and everyone watching right now. I just love to have those beautiful, intelligent cosmic conversation because they're filled with so much vibration, divine presence, and frequency. And I know it's going to resonate on many levels for people, and this is really exciting.
It is very exciting. And remember, you're listening to Accentuate the Positive with Karen Swain on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM. And as I said, our guest today is Viviane Chauvet, originally from Canada, but now living in the States. I'm going to read Viviane's amazing bio, but she's been on my show because I've been doing the shows for years, a couple of times before. And I was just saying to her off before we went live that I was re-listening to our conversations that we had a couple of years ago. I think the first one was about 5 years ago. And I was just blown away. I'm like, wow, this woman is amazing. Such an amazing conversation. So because we've got a new audience, we'll go over a lot of what we went over, but I'm sure we'll take it to other places we didn't go to before. Let me tell you a little bit about Viviane, who don't know, because a few people in my group were like, oh, I love Viviane. I listen to all her stuff. So as I said, originally from Canada, Viviane Chauvet is an Arcturian holographic matrix master healer. Her emanation came to the planet as a biological Arcturian hybrid evolved soul and ET interspecies, multi-frequency and multi-timeline teacher. Her soul avatar essence has returned in a project holographic human form that contains biofeedback. Viviane represents the true nature of the Arcturians. She is in constant telepathic communication with her team of light and serves as an ambassador between the higher spheres of reality and the Earth plane. Representing the advanced and enlightened Arcturian star civilization, her galactic family are conduits of light consciousness who create profound paradigm shifts at a planetary and collective level to move from fragmented energies of duality to oneness. Part of her mission is to help human beings reestablish their true heart-centered power, thus integrating soul fragments and accessing higher mental faculties. Her inspirational hybrid life story has touched the hearts and souls of thousands of people across the world. Her first collaborative book, best-selling book, is Wisdom of the Silver Sisters, Guiding Grace. And Viviane's been featured in 3 films. One is the 18-time award-winning documentary Extraordinary, The Revelations, which explores the historical significance of ET presence in specific paradigms, including ascension. For over a decade, Viviane has been a poignant figure in the spiritual and extraterrestrial community, inspiring and guiding others. She has spoken at conferences worldwide, and today she is also the producer and co-host of the Infinite Star Connection podcast. I think last time, and your website is called infinitehealingfromthestars.com. I think last time I spoke to you, Viviane, a few years ago, you didn't have the podcast. So you've started that in the last couple of years.
Well, actually, we are already in our 5th season. So we started, a little bit further than that. I know it's been quite a beautiful endeavor of how the podcast came about. And And I was reflecting also what you mentioned, that our first interview together, our time together, was it already 5 years ago? I was,
5 years
that's
ago.
incredible.
Yeah. I know, it seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we did another Inner Sanctum where you spoke to the group. That was probably a couple of, you must have had I must have had the podcast then. There's a few people chiming in. Pat says hi, Karen and Vivian and Diane and Shirley. Hello, ladies, galactic emissaries of light. How are you all? So excited to see you online. Yeah. Well, all the people that are online that are saying hello, I have heard your story before, but it's great to go over it again. Like how this all came about. How did you find yourself in a human form? And for people that don't understand what the hybrid program is, how that came about, that you're in a hybrid body. I know I'm asking you a million questions in one. And what that means to humanity. And Carl says hello. Yeah, so how did this come about? What was the soul agreement between you and your parents and your galactic team?
Thank you for this wonderful multi-layered question. And so let's take a deep dive. And what I'm about to share, this is my way of how I choose and how I'm choosing to serve the Prime Creator in this lifetime and on the planet. We know that we all sorry about that. We are all multidimensional beings, and we understand that we have had, all of us, a multitude of different lifetime in different star systems. Many people have feel to their galactic soul ancestry that they're very connecting to a multitude of groups. That is because, again, to your soul ancestry, you have probably in experience and embody different time cycles, whether it's with the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, the praying mantis, whether it's also the Venusian, and other groups unknown to the planet. So to narrow down to my journey, Karen, is that as an Arcturian being, you know that the Arcturians, we have ascended and reached a level of enlightenment a long time ago, eons ago. We are very ancient. We're one of the most ancient civilizations that have been interacting with a multitude of home worlds and this quadrant for thousands of years. So we have the ability to perceive a multitude of timelines unfolding all at once. Time, it's nothing like we're perceiving it here. It's nothing like linear as a past, present, future. It's everything coexisting in the now, and the most highest probability of how each timeline is being influenced by conscious evolution, energies, frequencies, and so forth. So they came to the point where our Council of Elders noticed that a planet called Gaia, as you know her, will come into a more highest form of universal harmonic change in a timeline that you call the ascension timeline. So we always come and help different systems or planet or civilizations to reach the next level of evolution. So we came together and says, okay, we have some of our starseed people on the planet at multiple times. We have some of our souls who are experiencing human life on the planet. But what can we do to create an opportunity in the ascension timeline to bring one of our own directly in the purest form possible that will retain the essence of who we are, our genetic energies, our frequencies, and to bring the soul essence of our Arcturian civilizations onto the planet. So I volunteer, or an aspect of myself volunteers, and what we have decided is to create a very unique, what you call a hybrid vessel, or a hologram that will utilizing genetic energies and different form of conscious technology, that we can co-create a physical vessel that will allow an aspect of my Arcturian avatar self, or a fractal of myself, to enter this form in being able to be on the planet, in being able to bring our teachings and co-create this acceleration energies into this organic timeline. And we're also here to help to release and deflect a lot of distortion and, of course, the negative influence that comes with the field being in this polarized energies. So that has been a very long journey for us of collaborating with a soul group, and that soul group agreed to work with us. And to that soul group, some of them reincarnate in terms of family lineage that you call my human family lineage. And so we went through grandparents, ancestors, grandparents, my human parents, and all of it. It's been a beautiful collaborative efforts of many souls through monitoring the genetic evolution of that particular lineage and to ensure the capability, and it has to be compatible from their genetics markers with our own genetics, so we can create this very advanced holographic quantum template that I embody and then became a reality in this biological, physical, human reality that you call Earth and the 3D world. So it's a very complex and yet very selfless endeavor of the collaboration of many souls involved through the lineage in collaboration with other groups. The Andromedans have also contributed to the stabilization of the genetic transfer and the new structures that you call my body. So in reality, the part of myself that is the hybrid is my physical form. What is embodying this hybrid form is my Arcturian self. So it is truly an emanation of directly of being an Arcturian in this form. So I am coexisting with you on the planet as I am also coexisting still in my original form and working with a multitude of beautiful group consciousness and different associations of world and different beings from a multitude of dimensional presence. So it, I'm attempting to explain everything as cohesiveness as possible, but that's
Yeah.
what makes me unique in a sense that I, the way it came about cannot be reproduced, and my DNA is encoded in ways that it cannot be reproduced as well. So for people who ask me, have you had children in this lifetime? I would say no. I was not here to reproduce. I cannot, my DNA cannot be replicated. In that sense, it is uniquely designed for the lifetime that I'm going to be staying on the planet. And once my mission is complete and we can see that we are really shifting into this reascension timeline, so to speak, then I will be simply shifting in evolution and move back into my original self, so I can continuing my other work.
Wow. Yeah. I'm just thinking, you've given an insight into what higher civilizations do when, humanity, what we seem to do is like we're just working on conflict all the time, conflict within ourselves, conflict within our relationships, conflict within the world. We're just working on that most of the time. So when we're not struggling and in conflict, what do? Well, we reach out to other planets who are in conflict and are moving out of conflict and out of density to a higher dimension, and we help them. And so, yeah, you've given an insight into the Arcturian race and how they do that, like how they reach out to other planets to help, they're reaching out to humanity to help us evolve. So they're obviously doing it to other planets, not just the planet Earth, right?
Indeed, Karen, good observation. So it is part of our purpose. This is how we choose to serve the Supreme One, we call the Prime Creator. This is how we
Right.
choose to serve. And when the souls comes to our realm to learn and have different time cycles or lifetimes, what the Arcturians they really learn about what it feels like to be in a constant state of vibrational mastery and constant harmonization with the Supreme Source, and how we are supporting other civilizations or soul group or celestial being in the form of a planet or a star system to really reach the next octaves of their own evolution. So if you look at the Earth and what you are in right now, you are considered into a more middle timeline. That's because you're fluctuating a lot in between different dimensional experiences and state of awareness. And the star seeds are the other emissaries who also represent different frequencies from other groups or places in the multiverse or even interdimensional spaces. They come in and start to get much more activated. They start to get more in tune with their own abilities, understanding the uniqueness of their very precise blueprint that they brought with them. And if you look at it overall, Gaia is really shifting quite rapidly, even through the Schumann resonance. There's a lot of different frequency movement in the body of Gaia, etherically, in the grid system, and into the galactic structure. That is because Gaia is about to give birth to this other aspect of herself, which we call the ascended version of Gaia. In reality, it's simply a grand return into that original celestial self, like Gaia was designed as an ark, as a garden, if you want, or an ark of diversity to host life here. So the human race really comes back into their cosmic origin and embracing the diversity of galactic genetic markers and other form of influence that they carry within themselves. So everything, even your physical forms, are really shifting quite drastically. And
Yeah.
what it means is, yes, and what it means is that there's a lot more symptoms, there's a lot more your realization of what's happening. There's different form of questioning. The mind is opening to a new sphere of reality. We start to perceive this reality as an holographic projection, and we start to really understand where we are and who we are in this grand design. But it really is a beautiful grand divine design that is unfolding, and we are playing our part in it, like many others play their part. So, overall, Arcturians, we are known as the great diplomats in the multiverse, and we oftentimes assign to different spaces in the multiverse where we are helping or bringing new infrastructures that will allow that evolution to take place. We never interfere with an evolution process. We are supporting it by bringing the appropriate frequencies or the octaves that will help that civilization or that soul group or that celestial being to reach the next level. But everything, Karen, ultimately is truly a movement of evolution. Everything constantly evolve, expand. And that's the beauty of that beautiful multiverse that we are all part of. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Everything is in evolution. I've got to say, if you watched the debate recently, you wouldn't think so. I shouldn't get political.
Oh, yes. Well, that let's add a cosmic galactic aspect to it.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that because, I know and I do understand that I'm still coexisting in this reality with everyone. So we're all
Yeah.
in it together. But what we are looking at is it's what I call the third dimensional density or polarized field wants to survive at all costs.
Yep.
And that third dimensional polarized consciousness is counting on you to feed your light into their nonsense that makes sense to them. It's kind of that fragmented reality that they put together to, really sell the idea that they're the ones who understand it. But in reality, we're looking at a release of an old construct and we're
A release.
releasing ourselves from that, if that makes sense, right?
I love that. A release of an old construct. Leslie says, which debate? I'm not following the news. Oh, the US presidential debate was just on recently between a couple of candidates. It's not mentioning any names. But releasing of an old construct, yeah, that's really interesting that you say that, Viviane, because watching it, it's so obvious, the construct that has been, like, it's just making it so obvious. Yeah, it's interesting, but please go on. It's the releasing of an old construct.
Well, and this is a good observation, Karen, and thank you for bringing that up. So, just from a world perspective, you look at the United States, we're in this, from a 3D perspective, in this presidential race for the new president coming in. And again, it's a perspective when we talk about releasing ourselves from that old projected of conflictual third
Yeah.
dimensional construct. It's what it's really is given to us, whether you live in Russia, whether you are in Australia, France, Europe, Canada, England. It doesn't make any difference anymore, because it is still the same third dimensional polarized construct playing out and attempting to bring us in, or to pull string on your heart, or to pull string on your light, and getting you engaged into their reality. What
Yeah.
I like to think of, or to hold the image, and that's an invitation for everyone. Imagine yourself for a moment as you're watching that aspect of the world unfolding, that you are in parallel to it, like an observer of time. So this is what I do when I'm observing all of these old construct playing out, or dualistic energy that really wants to get you engaged.
Yeah.
And I smile and look at both energies, or what is playing out and how it's being pulled into each aspect. And I see myself walking in parallel reality. Uh, I did a podcast earlier today, for me in my timeline, and my guest was talking about choosing a timeline. Well, we are at that point where, by releasing these old constructs, you're removing yourself from the holographic projected matrix energy that was put on top of the earth, and
Mm.
from government structures, or royalty structures, or financial structures, and all these old structures. What they do, they want to reinforce this old holographic matrix, and they find very creative way to get you engaged. That's
Yes.
It makes me laugh. It makes me smile. It's like watching children who do everything in their power to get your attention, and says, "You're going to side for me, right? No, you're going to side for me, right?" And then going to see into that debate. I know I'm making it more simplified, but it's really about shifting ourselves. I no longer feed that holographic reality, this projection that they
Yeah.
really want to maintain everyone. And
Maintain.
I choose to be more a universal being, even
Yeah.
though I identify myself that as a nocturne being in this hybrid human form. This is how I choose to serve in this timeline. I'm also a universal being at the same time, and we all
Wow.
are universal beings, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just thinking, when you look at, what's playing out on our television screens, on our computers, and in our iPhones, or our phones, on our screens, if you look at that holographic third dimensional construct of debate and dispute and competition and disruption, if you don't take it personally, you can pull yourself away from it and see it as a construct, like you've said, Viviane, instead of making it about you. I think what humans do is we make it so personally. It's my side, it's my football team, it's what I believe in. We make it so personally, and we get sucked into the matrix. It's kind of like, it's like a vacuum. We get sucked into the construct, and then we're sort of swimming around in third dimensional, like arguments. And yeah, but if you see it as a construct outside of who you are, you can, yeah, it's like a comedy show.
It it really is, and to us, it's quite fascinating to watch. But here's another beauty to it. Ultimately, there's always within this divine design that we're in, ultimately, what needs to be co-created will be co-created in spite of
Yeah.
this. At the same time, when you are, like you said, releasing yourself from the attraction that is generated on purpose to keep you captive, and descending your senses, your intuitive faculties, you start to understand more how you can free your creative channels, how you can free this energy from this pulse that brings, it's like a black hole that wants to bring you in. But when you
Mhm.
contour this black hole and you understand it from multifacets, you're watching the dark light polarity with the light coexisting in one place. So they're playing a dance with each other
Mhm.
this way. Okay, and that's same thing with any huge global event that has been taking place over the last 4 or 5 years on this planet. So the dark light is creating a huge pull in one direction, but the counter response in the light that is being generated, it's even greater than what they wanted to co-create in the first place. So if you look at any form of debates, argument, conflict, remember in your heart, this is all generated. This is all part of this old third dimensional polarized construct that wants to maintain pertinence. It wants to live. It wants to coexist. It wants to count on your light and your feet and your presence to maintain it. And we're simply going to invite all of these constructs to move into a new energetic process and really shifting its consciousness to says, why don't you join us instead in terms of remembering your divine blueprint behind all of it, and the light, the releasing the light frequency as we are co-manifesting a new era. We're no
Yeah.
longer in partaking in this era. We've already shifted. So physically you may see me there, but in reality it's just a memory of my physical imprint. I'm no longer there. I'm already shifted. I'm already in the other timeline. And that's a good image to keep as well.
Yeah. Oh, I've got so many things going through my head. Um, yeah, because our attention to a subject gives it energy. But how can we, like we talked about on one of the shows last time, the distraction of the media, magazine articles and television shows. It's all about conflict and judgment and criticism and all that sort of stuff. But how can we focus on it in a way that doesn't suck us into it and bring us back into that matrix construct of competition? And I think that the more energy and emotion we put into it, the more we get sucked in, rather than seeing it, as a construct. I'm just repeating myself, but I'm really getting it, because it is designed to keep us there. Wow. So sorry, go on. Yep. Mm-hmm.
No, I love what you're saying, Karen. I want to thank you for this. It's very supportive of the energy, and it's very pertaining also to the evolution we're in right now. But anything that you're witnessing as a tool, as a conscious tool, anything that you're witnessing, whether it's a political conflict between family members, siblings, whether it's within yourself as well, think of it as take a step back and look at these people or these structures or the government, or whatever that is, and ask from a higher perspective, become an observer of time. I will rephrase that, become an observer in time. So you're
Mm.
almost like, again, standing in parallel to that situation, and you ask, reveal to me higher truth behind it. I utilize the golden ray of illumination, enlightenment a lot to bring and reveal a higher truth behind what is unfolding. So, for example, what we've been talking about, political debate in the United States, you can tell that it's pretty much the dark light and the light that is playing in this yin and yang polarized energy. It really is. It's to see who is in one side, what is on the other side, and who's holding the space and neutrality and wholeness. The same thing with a conflict with someone or a hurtful comment, whether it's from a client, whether it's at work, whether it's from one of your children, whatever has been conveyed to you, feel it, acknowledge, okay, I feel in a certain way, I acknowledge it. Now, take that energy in front of you like you're watching a beautiful crystalline ball or a crystal and ask, reveal to me what is the state of consciousness or what's happening within the field of that person throwing that comment or that word or that behavior. Allow me to understand what is the energy behind it. This is what we call the sacred art, ART, of decoding different level of realities. You're stepping into a more multidimensional presence of understanding what is this energy really coming from. And I will tell you on a personal level, because I like to share on the personal level, I have been experiencing as of lately a lot of those energies. And whether it's very powerful acknowledging energy or very dense and very hurtful. So when I get these very polarized feedback, I step back and I ask to my Arcturian self or your higher consciousness, reveal to me the state of where are we globally on the planet and on a planetary level. What is really happening? Is it possible that through the presence of the solar gamma rays coming in, the change of the Schumann resonance on the planet, that something is being extracted that activates people consciously and unconsciously, and depending on their state of awareness, they may be projecting those extractions, and it just so happen that your frequency are the ones that receive those projections. And it's easier than it sounds. I tell you, I do that all the time. And looking at the synchronicity, how changes, even if it's done from in negative intentions or at a dark light polarity, it's really creating a light response. I mean, a few months ago, my family and I, we went through a huge life changes. We were thrown a huge rock in our pond, and as a result of this, we were at the time seemingly forced to move out of a very comfortable home where we were, and we have to vacate the property in a very short time. But the counter response as an evolutionary process creates something unexpected. As a result of this, we were able to purchase a bigger space with more land, with more trees, with more energy that is going to propel us on the next stage of evolution on a personal, spiritual level, galactic, cosmic, and universal. So that transition of a very contracted, negative, impactful energies have created a huge change with allowing all of us to blossom to ways in ways that we couldn't perceive at the time. So if you look at on the earth right now is something very similar. This is a very little micro example on something that is much more global. What I am talking about is the moving through the gatekeeper of the third dimensional density, of the way we've been playing roles and structures, and how we are shifting truly out of this third dimensional base matrix, which is a more mental matrix energy, and how we are shifting into a more organic, unified, heart-based fifth dimensional realities, and how we are also embodying these changes. So right now we are in between. I can feel that we are shifting. So what we're sharing with you is just practical application as well as very highly spiritual way to perceive these changes, and allowing you in the process to see where are you, where is your state of evolution, where is your state of maybe of resistance, maybe out of fear, protection, safety, where are you, and allow yourself to really shift in that perspective, and just to know that everything is interconnected. And even for us on an intergalactic, more interstellar, non-linear perspective, we can see how much the earth vibration is really moving. And there's a lot of deep movement that's going on. I don't know if you felt that, Karen, about those changes.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of movement going on. And one thing that many humans resist is that change, as you talk about. It's like when they get fired or evicted, or it really just represents change. But you're right. That's happened to me so many times, Viviane. I'm comfortable in a place, and then the landlord says, you've got to move out for whatever reason. I'm putting my family in there, or I'm renovating, or I'm selling, or whatever. And we resist that, like we see it as trauma. I remember one time I was in this cute little flat under someone's house. It was all very comfortable. And then she's like, you've got to move out. And I asked my guides, and they said exactly what you talked about. They said, well, this place is too small for you. You are expanding and you now need a bigger place. And I remember thinking, I don't have money for a bigger place. I live in a very expensive part of the world, actually. Sydney's one of the most expensive cities on the planet. And I just remember thinking, okay, I'm going to visualize a bigger place for hardly any rent, something that was seemingly impossible. And I started to lose my faith. And then I met a man, and he was asking me about what was happening in my life. And he said something really interesting. This is when I was in my 30s. He said, keep the faith, keep the faith. And what happened, long story, I ended up moving into this massive house. It was like huge for like little to no rent. And that's when I started doing having meetings in that house and doing workshops and teaching in that house, like using that house as a place. So when they said, yeah, you're expanding and you need a bigger place, because I was in this tiny little comfortable little flat, yeah, often we do resist change, but change comes both personally and collectively, usually with a lot of disruption. Yeah.
It really is. And thank you for also adding an aspect of your personal journey, because we can all relate to that. And it really is the moment we feel like we get comfortable. And one thing on the universal level that I have learned is when the universe sees that potentially your light get a little bit too settled in or can be dimmed, there will be an extraction, there will be a change that will be initiated. And it's really done in synchronicity also with the magnificence of your supreme higher self and how everything is put in motion. And even though sometimes it feels negative or from an, out of balance distortion intention, the thing about it is that what are we here to do? We're here to learn, yes, but we also here to reconcile that polarization or the fragment between the dark and the light together. We're here to bring it back into that sacred unification. We're here to bring back that unification within ourselves, and even at a DNA level in ourselves, on a cosmic level, on a universal level. We're really shifting and returning to that space. This is why we call this very specific timeline a reascension process. It's a grand return into that perfect state that you already are. You simply realign yourself in that state. And while vibrationally, when you start to move and simply shift certain vibrational aspect within yourself, you shift in the frequency, and the frequency associate with the next set of experiences. For example, when something impacts you and you can feel that your energetic field or the intelligence field of your heart has been distorted or impacted, or you feel off balance, take the time to step back, return into connecting to your heart, and with the intention of returning into the divine centeredness and neutrality, and allow yourself, I release the impact of the distortion that I have absorbed or has entered my field. I release the source point of that distortion, the intentions, the trigger points, and any form of energetic association with beings, group, consciousness, energy, known and unknown. So you're releasing the source point of that impactful distortion that has entered your field, whether you were hurt in your heart, whether it's impacting the crystalline core of your solar plexus, your willpower, whether it's any form of channel around your spinal cord as a conscious energy and matrix energy of conduit of pure connection, whether it's into the geometry of your body, is understanding what has impacted you and being able to release the source of distortion, so you can simply bring yourself to a deep breath into this beautiful vibrational signature that you have. So one thing that we like to remind everyone is to know that you are definitely on the planet by soul design, but you also here by soul synchronicity. So you're no longer just, being pulled by the changes on the planet, or the change in the global consciousness, or the changes also in your solar system to solar alignment or galactic movement. You are really much here by soul synchronicity. And so when you call upon that soul synchronicity, can you already feel it in your heart and in your solar plexus, to feel that you are bring yourself into complete realignment. And from there, then you can really open up more your channel of communications. And even through the spine, you can feel the channel along the spine reopening and reattuning themselves in quantum presence and intelligence, because your entire body structure as an ecosystem communicate on a quantum level. So when there's a distortion, it will affect the entire system. When there's a correction of vibration, it also affects the entire system. Do you feel that, the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to listen to that at least another 100 times. Some of the things that you said, I don't know how to repeat it, but you said when you're feeling a distortion, just repeat that again, Viviane. What do you say?
Yes.
You say at the core. Where is the core? Where is the
Yes.
where did it start? Say that again.
Yes, absolutely, with pleasure, of course, Karen. So whenever there's a distortion entering your field, let's say a hurtful word,
You
or
feel hurt.
something you saw on TV, or something that really puts you off balance, you off
Right.
centered. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you feel there's a distortion that has entered your heart or your field or even your mental field, as
Mm-hmm.
it says, okay, I acknowledge of the distortion. I ask to reveal the source point of the distortion, the
Source point.
intentions behind it, any form of energetic imprints, and any source it comes from. I release them all, and allow yourself to clear and cleanse yourself right away from that distortion and its source points, or a root source. So release yourself from that distortion, and with the intention in complete consciousness that you are recentering yourself in complete alignment with your divine light and your soul synchronicity, and to feel that you are simply really returning in that point of centeredness. Think of it this way. I'm going to give you a visual.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like something that put or got tilted a tree, and an aspect of their roots got pulled out unexpectedly. It will create a distortion in the entire ecosystem of that tree. Now, if you come together and rebalance the tree and invite the roots to reconnect to Gaia and the grids with the soil and the entire network of the root system, the tree regain its balance and can re-anchor itself. So it's a beautiful image to give, but it's something similar in the sense that we all have the authority and the power to extract a distortion that says, okay, I felt you. You
Mm-hmm.
enter my heart. You enter my solar plexus. You distorted my sacral and my creativity. Now I'm asking to be revealed the source point, so it can be sent back into the light for transmutation. So this is a quick way and a very empowered way to bring yourself back. And part of what we do with the Arcturians and will continue to do is really bringing beautiful wisdom and teachings in a way that empowered with new tools and new conscious avenue to really step into who we are, and says we are going to globally choose to shift in a timeline of ascension. So you can have fun with your debate, you can have fun with your third dimensional matrix fear-based energy. We've learned from it. Thank you for generation of teaching. We're shifting.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
no longer
Yeah.
in that sandbox with you. I'm no longer
Sandbox.
here.
I'm no longer in the sandbox with you. Oh, I've got so much to say about that. But I want to remind people that you're listening to Accentuate the Positive with Karen Swain on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM. And our guest today is Viviane Chauvet, Galactic Ambassador, Emissary, Arcturian Hybrid, Higher Evolved Conscious Soul. And we're talking about healing. And I was doing a healing the other day, Viviane, and you say that, when you're feeling the distortion, so you feel the distortion as negative emotion, so you feel upset or sad or frustrated or angry or whatever that negative emotion is, that's your indication that there is distortion within your field. And then you ask to find the source point, and you ask to release the distortion from your field to rebalance the system. What I saw in the healing I did the other day, as we were doing something similar, I call them thought forms or belief systems or belief constructs, because I think the original construct of all distortion is that feeling of separation. We feel separate to our source. We feel separate to love. We feel separate to each other. It's that duality that we experience here. And so whatever negative thought we're engaging in, there is a feeling of feeling separate to what we want. I want to feel loved. I want to feel understood. I want to feel worthy. I want to feel strong. I want to feel healthy. We feel separate to what we want. And what they showed me was that when we release, there's a space. And what do you fill that space with? And just fill that with, I was filling it with golden light. Like fill that space with love. When you release something, there is this space left, and fill it with love, or ask, what would you fill that space with, Viviane?
I love this. Thank you, Karen. Beautiful. I was with you in the energy when you were talking. In the space of remembering, it's the way I utilize this golden light that you talk about, which is the golden ray. I love the realm of illumination enlightenment. I also utilize a lot of the solar consciousness. As a nocturne, we utilize solar as a source of energy, as well as very advanced quantum intelligent crystals who are being in crystalline form. So we're very attuned to these form of advanced, very clear, organic form of energy. So when I feel the space, I commune. First, I like to commune with my Arcturian self, because this is who I am in this lifetime. And then I call upon the great console of the solar presence. And I open myself to all the solar energy. There's a multitude of gateway that connects all the suns and the multitude of solar system, planetary system, galaxies, universes. I utilize all the way to the great central sun. And I commune with the solar beings, the solar consciousness, and welcome the solar gamma rays into my field. And these rays turn into pure living light codes of energies. It really is beautiful. So this is something we incorporate a lot in our work. And we talk about, there's a lot of semantic words that is used, like light codes and activation and frequency and DNA. But when it comes to it, when you start to really feel the vibrational presence, the sacredness of the intelligence that is vibrating in you and as you, connecting to any form of higher consciousness is available to you through a breath. It is available to you through the speed of a thought. It is really that connection. So I do synchronize my sacred heartbeat to the beat of the sacred pulse of the solar ray. Into the solar ray, I connect to the solar presence. I've seen the solar beings, the solar archangels, and I really expand in that energy. And it's my way to really feel how much that beyond being this projected hybrid being that you see me as, or a nocturne being, or a nocturne avatar self, or a Andromedan, I remind myself that I am truly part of the entire fabric, the living conscious fabric of the entire creation. And I have seen an aspect of creation and how souls are really invited to engage and expand. And I'll tell you one of the key elements, and I do say one of the key elements, is how you live your life here. This
Mm.
human life, we have no idea. Human beings have absolutely no concept how absolutely pivotal this lifetime is.
Mm.
Why? Because how you allow yourself to clear, cleanse, resolve any hooks, attachments, whether it's from galactic past memories, whether it's on the Akashic level, whether it's the Earth historical timelines, whether it's genetic markers, ancestral, all of the above. When you're really moving through that process, and like you mentioned, Karen, it opens space. What it does is that it allows you to hold higher frequency of light. And how
Yeah.
much light, yes, and how much light you carry and you achieve to carry in this lifetime, it's the premise. It will propel you at a soul level to the next octaves, and how you live impeccably to the truth of your heart, to the integrity, the authenticity of your being, not to your human mind or the authenticity of your 3D personality. My name is Viviane. I grew up in Montreal. That's just my story, I have to tell you. But the
Mm.
authenticity of my being, and this is how I live. I live to the authenticity of my being. And
Mm.
as a result of this, I was offered, so to speak, to move well beyond this physical plane of existence, to move beyond being an Arcturian. I was offered to return into pure consciousness.
Mhm.
And I told, or I mentioned, this supreme aspect of the prime creator, this omnipresence who came to me. I said, I would be honored to move on into these higher octaves of pure consciousness. Allow me to fulfill my earth mission, because I can feel, as Prime Creator was speaking through me, I could feel behind my field billions of life saying, hey, what about us? A planet calling me, Gaia saying, hey, you're not done yet. What about me? I felt the collective of billions of souls calling me, literally. And I told the omnipresence, to the gateway of my heart, I said, please come back again once my mission is done. I will continue to live impeccably as much as I can in this dimension. I want to fulfill my mission. And then, if I can move beyond being an Arcturian, then I will see at that level. But it's really magnificent, Karen, and everyone watching, how much this lifetime, it is your marker in time. It is the lifetime, and I do say the lifetime, to really make the choice at the soul level. How impeccably am I going to live with the authenticity of my being, and still honoring this human personality and still enjoying the
Yeah.
little details of this lifetime? You're always within that authenticity. It's your signature. It really is
Yeah.
magnificent.
Yeah, it's a beautiful time to be alive. It's an intense time to be alive, but it's a beautiful time to be alive. So much opportunity. So much opportunity is given to us to do exactly what you've said. Wow, thank you. That was so beautiful. We didn't even get into your story in this conversation, but I urge people to go and listen under this podcast. You'll see a link that says see more. You'll see the other shows I did with Viviane where we explored her coming to Earth and the hybrid matrix of her physical body and what that represents. But we're all about healing today. I love this conversation. There's a couple of questions here. Moby says, I'd love what Viviane says about star seeds. Can she also speak about old souls or those who are not star seeds and their purpose? And Leslie, I'll get to your question soon. It's an interesting question from Moby.
Yeah, thank you, Mobile. I'm glad that you love what we have to share. So, starseed again, starseed is a way that a soul will choose to serve in a very specific incarnation or a time cycle. So, what it means is that those of you on a planet beautiful people who see themselves and understand themselves as starseed. Just please know this is part of your soul design, that you are the emissaries representing a multitude of consciousness and groups and civilizations, and you have come to converge onto one planet to really help the diversity of life here, all sentient life forms, to reascend to a higher form. Now we are usually very all souls, all of us, whether you see yourself as a star seed or you identify yourself maybe just as universal or a light worker or enjoying your human life. The reason for that is that even an old soul will choose ways to how they're going to bring about certain gifts, abilities, frequencies that will pertain the most in the time frame or the lifetime that soul will need to come. So, for example, there are many old souls on the planet that are also star seeds. There are many old souls who see themselves as or remember themselves as masters of
Mhm.
light, or just pure consciousness, or they are these beings that have been coexisting with creation and they chose to send out a fragment of themselves to come and experiment a physical human life, understanding what separation feels like, understanding what fragmentation feels like or polarization. That's what they come to do. They're
Mhm.
also experiencing that aspect of creation. So the word whole souls, Mobi, it's very much more of an umbrella that speaks of beautiful celestial beings like yourself who have returned and embody this human journey or this physical form, and know that your presence is just as beautiful and powerful than those who are really clear about being a star seed, because that's part of their journey. So it's, again, just semantics, if that makes sense. That makes sense to you, Karen?
Yes, absolutely. Semantics, exactly. Old souls might not be old to earth, but have definitely traversed the cosmos for eons of time and come to bring, what we call new souls or star seeds, maybe haven't had too many incarnations, can also be deemed old souls. I know, it's semantics. There's another question here from Leslie. She says, can we hear more about crystals and crystal beings?
Yes. And thank you. Absolutely, Leslie. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, Crystal, well, if you look at crystal the way you understand it here, clear quartz, citrine, rose quartz, you have beautiful amethyst and blue lapis and all of it. There's so many beautiful crystal that coexist on the planet. And at the same time, if you look at what their purpose is, they're very ancient being, their consciousness. They are also beautiful archives where if you start to understand the language of crystal, you start to decode the vibrational aspect of who they are in the form of a crystal. And you can also interact with them to understand what knowledge or encoded information they host. For example, every soul, regardless of your point of origination, every soul who returns on the planet and reincarnate into a human form or even an animal, every soul that returns to the planet will have automatically its unique earth crystal reactivated. That means that everything is stored and recorded. Everything you felt, you experienced, all the ups and downs, the lessons learned, the wisdom earned, everything is recorded in that crystal. Now you may say, can I access this crystal? The answer is absolutely yes. Ask the consciousness of Gaia, ask the consciousness of the planet to take you to commune with your earth crystal that is currently active. And when your soul leaves this biological human form or this plane of existence, then your crystal simply remain within the earth field, but simply deactivated. It's been there for thousands of years, and something we're very aware, and we are communicating with those crystals to understand the shift of generations of souls coming to the planet, past, present, future, and on a multidimensional level. There's many also ET beings who utilize really advanced crystal technology. And again, they're pure consciousness in the form of giant crystal. We have clear quartz, so to speak, that are giants. They can also be strong enough to feed an entire planet in energy. And we are living in pure resonance field with these beings. That means that we are in constant vibratory peace and alignment with these beings. It's never to overuse them or to over empower them or to manipulate them or to want to serve them for our own purpose. It's an exchange. Now it's a beautiful infinity loop of exchange of energy. And as they are coexisting with us on our different planets, on our ships, or when we encounter them, there are certain intergalactic groups who are utilizing crystalline based ship to navigate through the crystalline field or the multiverse or within different interdimensional space. For example, I have personally encountered a giant, beautiful mothership made of pure crystal energy, and that ship came from the Mer people and one of the watery planets in Sirius B. So the Mer people and the mermaids that we hear about in from Atlantis and stories and all of it, well, they're beautiful Mer people. They're very advanced, higher dimensional beings. They're aquatic bays, and they travel in these beautiful crystalline ship. And I've seen one.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Gosh. Now you've got me interested. Not that I wasn't interested before, but I just love the Mer people. I'm fascinated by them. Any movie or show that represents the Mer people, like there's a beautiful movie called, about this, can't think of the name of it. Maybe someone help me out. They captured this amazing Mer person and they had him in a facility, and then the cleaner of that facility fell in love with him. What was that called? That's just one of my favorite movies.
Was it back in the 80s?
Well, yeah, the movie was not that old, but it was set in the 50s. Like the timeline of the movie was set in the 50s. But no, I think it was made in the 2000s. I'll think of it in a minute. The Shape of Water. Thank you, Moby. Yes, The Shape of Water. That's the name of the movie. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But let me ask you, Diane's got a great question here too. I'll get to your question in a minute, Diane. You said that the Mer people have this crystalline ship. So if they're existing in a water matrix where they breathe or exist, is the ship water as well? How does that work?
Yeah, well, at that level, it become more of a plasma light. I mean,
Okay.
one thing I can tell you when I personally encounter and how I encounter the ship will have more meaningfulness here is I was working at a time with a beautiful client who is a star seed that comes directly from the lineage of the Mer people. And
Okay.
that person has such a strong remembrance of her intergalactic origin that it was affecting her human form. It was
Uh-huh.
affecting the configuration of her spine, with the hips to the legs, and how even the feet were work. It was very difficult for this person to navigate to the human biological field because her remembrance as a Mer people was so strong in the
Wow.
body memory blueprint that it was affecting. So we work with them with the Arcturians and our expertise to really coach. And the presence of the Mer people were there because they're very protective of their people. And I love and I respect them for that. So they were very coaching us, but they understood who we are. And we are very ancient beings, like they are very ancient beings. And at
Yeah.
some point, part of that person group came and said, we're going to deploy one of our mothership, which you're going to see, because we're going to send very specific frequency into the biological form of of that person you work with, since that person is one of us. And it's going to help to amplify what the Octurans are doing to help to clear the memory so that the body template can be restored. And that's why the ship came. And I was working with that person, laying out on the table, and then that ship came, and I did see it projected directly in holographic thought form, and I saw the entire ship that couldn't be in the atmosphere of the planet. It was too big, but it's just to show me the consciousness of the ship was transmitting directly holographic thought form in my field, and I could see, as I see you, the ship itself with a crystalline structure, but it's not crystalline structure as you perceive your crystal here. The
Right.
crystalline aspect of that ship is representative of the evolution of that species. So there is that plasma energy, almost like a more of a thick liquid plasmic energy that is generating and that carry all the nutrients and everything that they need, obviously. But
Wow.
it's very much based on advanced quantum crystalline structure. It looked like a cluster. It looked very much like a big, giant cluster of a multitude of clear quartz combined in a very specific configuration. It was absolutely magnificent.
Wow. Wow. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's just so
Course.
beautiful. You know, my daughter is a dolphin. She's incarnated from a water planet. She's been quite skeptical over the years of me talking about aliens, as the mainstream call them, ETs, galactic, because I think she wants to fit in. And so crazy mum talking about aliens all the time wasn't, a kettle of fish. Anyway, so when I told her that she actually came from a water planet where the dolphins and the whales and the mer people live in Sirius B, she stopped judging me for talking about aliens, because her job is to take people, she's a free diver, and take people snorkeling and diving with the whales and the ocean. Like, she's in the ocean more than she's actually on air. She's just, she's a water being. Yeah. So there's hi, how are you? So I want to get to Diane's question here. Are the Arcturians, you said here, working with souls incarnated on Earth who identify as Earth beings, meaning they feel like they have been on Earth here since the beginning, since her beginning? Interesting question, Diane.
It's a beautiful question, actually. We do recognize that there are some souls who are more closely associated with the earth plane. And so we have been monitoring Gaia, as you've known her, for a very long time. And that means thousands and thousands of years. So we have seen how the evolution of that little part of that spiral and just a little handle of the spiral of the Milky Way has been evolving. So we work with a multitude of soul consciousness, soul groups. There's no discrimination between versus you are an earth base or consider more of an earth based soul energy, or you are more of a star seeds or an all souls, or a builders of form or part of the masters. We work with many, many beautiful diversity of souls. And so that includes those who have been more in sync with the earth planes. In fact, we have encountered many people who feel very strongly identify with Gaia and the earth plane energies, and we observe them evolving through that energies. But the beauty behind it is allowing yourself to evolve with Gaia as she is ascending back to her beautiful celestial self, and it will invite those souls to evolve alongside with her. Remember that ultimately it's all about frequencies and vibrational resonance. What does it mean is whether you are vibrating with the dolphins or see yourself as an earth based soul energy, it is still a vibrational presence. We still recognize your light. And ultimately, we are still all part of the one holographic supreme aspect of this beautiful divine design. It depends on what your soul has come to experience, what is the most alignment with your soul at this given time, and how you choose to serve. To us, it makes no difference. And same thing when we work with being from the Taurus constellation or other form of multi-reality, or those who have no understanding of emotions, or they have evolved genetically and consciously in a different level. So we're very diversified, so to speak. Even on board our ship, we have crew members who belong from different groups from various interstellar places in the multiverse, and we have been working with them for a very long time. So we are in this coexistence with different life forms, and that includes
Yeah.
Earth, of course. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to get up there. I'm sure I am in maybe my astral form up there on those ships with all that diversity of life throughout the cosmos. It'd be so beautiful. I'm just going to say hi to Elsa, who's online with us. What was I going to say about? I think that the misunderstanding is that if you're an Earth being, you've been here since the beginning of Earth. But the beginning of Earth was created and designed by the galactic beings, right? It was their concept. I think we think of this God who is this being that created the world, but throughout the cosmos, life and designs of planets and form and everything has been the job of the beings that are already there that have evolved. So Earth is the same. What would you say about that, Viviane?
That's a beautiful, complex observation, and I love this, Karen. So, if I look at our spherical archives or the equivalent of the Arcturian Akashic records, we have remembrance of the very beginning of Gaia as a celestial consciousness, accepting to become and forming herself as a planet, and how this planet will be serving into a young part of the multiverse called the Milky Way and the solar system, and how this young evolving solar system and the exception of a planet or a celestial being in the form of a planet will be designated as a place, as a garden of life or an ark, and like the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred ark where a multitude of species or aspect of species will be bringing to the planet, and see how life will be evolving and shifting, and how this ecosystem, it was always designed originally to be a planet of harmony, a planet of coexistence, and being able to be also to stay connected with the rest of the multiverse, never designed to be descended into such a polarized, fear-based matrix manipulated realities, and never designed for other groups to take over this planet and call them the playground. So I'm sending a little message here. I'm Arcturian, of course we do. So Gaia was always designed to be this beautiful sacred garden. In fact, we remember a time where we did send what's called an Arcturian probe, and that probe has very specific level of a light encoding or structural codes in other form of frequency to support Gaia evolution and the implementation of a multitude of species and life here. If you look at the animal kingdom that comes from a multitude of planets, including the whales and dolphins, the bears, the bees. If you look at your cats and your dogs, we know that they are beautiful, conscious beings who come and embody these forms. So definitely, Karen, that Gaia was always designed this way, and of course, it's been a lot more coming through to. If you look at the whole records and the whole history of Gaia, how the descendant, we've witnessed this planet descending into this fragmented reality. This is why, again, we call it a reascension. It's returning to that original design.
Yeah, beautiful. Elsa says, thank you for that, Viviane, that message. I felt that strongly. Gaia intended for harmony. Yes, she really is Garden of Eden, Gaia, isn't she? You talk about the animals, like life on Earth has come from other star systems. This is why our bodies are different. The animals come from star systems, or they have been designed by the higher intelligence or galactic intelligence and seeded on planet Earth. There was a guest, Garnet Schulhauser, who spoke about that millions of years ago there was another planet that orbited Earth that was kind of like a second moon, a small planet, but an asteroid hit it out of Earth's orbit and it went out to the asteroid belt and exploded. But there was life on that planet, flora and fauna. There were animals on that planet that were taken off that planet and taken to Earth. And those animals are the Australian marsupials that are nowhere else on the planet. It's interesting when he said that they were taken to Australia, which was a continent in itself, not connected to the rest of the world at the time. and this is why they're nowhere else on the planet, like kangaroos and the platypuses and all our marsupials, that they actually came from another planet. And when I asked him why Australia and not another place on the planet, he said that Uluru is kind of I shouldn't use that word, kind of, is sort of like the heartbeat of Gaia, that it pulses this energy that was similar to the planet that they were on, so they'd feel more at home on planet Earth. So I thought that was really interesting too. Gee, we're running out of time. It's we've only got almost just over 10 minutes to go. What I would love to know from you, Viviane, is where we're going on Earth and how this consciousness and spirituality and ufology, we were talking off camera before we went live about how it's all merging, the consciousness conversation, the enlightenment spiritual conversation, the ufology, the afterlife conversation. It's all coming together in one conversation. Where are we going? Where do you see Earth in the next decade or 20 years?
Well, I would say let's bring it closer to us. I would say even the next 3 years.
Okay.
The next 3 years, if you look at the gateway, 2024, it's a gateway where we are really deciding where we're going to shift. It's about what timeline are you really feeling and holding. So first thing, release yourself from the distractions of technology, AI, the new gadget, what it seems to be. And you want to learn about galactic history. That's great. And get to know yourself first. Get to know and get into the mastery of your being. When you reach that point of what we call spiritual maturity and self-mastery, and we say that with so much love, it's going to really propel this civilization, this planet, to really the new octave of what we're moving in. So Gaia, one way or another, is vibrationally shifting into the next harmonic universe, which means is again the return of the celestial self. We are perceiving major changes in the human body template, what we call the universal time matrix. It's a quantification of how we see the humanoid template shifting back into the celestial aspect. So it means that there's little changes in terms of the way the organs connect itself, the way your bones are transmitting energy, how you're receiving in your field more frequency, your ability to hold and anchor these frequencies, your ability to consciously maintaining yourself into a state of more divine neutrality, centeredness, and constant harmonization with the pulse of the universe, as opposed to the pulse of the third dimensional polarized field. That's very different here. So when you're redirecting the focal point or the centeredness of your frequency in terms of what is it, what level of reality and holographic projection you're going to hold in place, whether you're in Australia, whether you are in New Zealand, in Africa, it is a time to says, as co-creator, we are bringing in now in this reality, that new era, that paradigm of ascension, harmonization, living in harmony with each other, when there's no more boundaries of linear time or who's allowed to have resources, how much money do you have, and what is your right to eat or your right to live in harmony with Gaia resources. We're releasing ourselves from these false authority energies, programming, and anything that is being dimming your light or keeping you in a descended form. That means also the brain circuitry is shifting to allow a much harmonious communication with the universe, and allowing yourself to receive constantly these new transmission of light, even in your DNA template. And it comes to the time where we are seeing the human being stepping into accepting their divine multidimensional self and being able to consciously change within your DNA genetic codes what galactic origin do you want to keep and what other genetic codes you're going to turn off. There's no need to keep all of it, because right now you have all this encoding within you, and at the same time there's no translation or conscious understanding of what it represents, there's no need to keep all of it. There will be some very specific realignment that you're going to consciously make. And that starts by living impeccably every day. And what it means is be true to your heart, be authentic to your soul, be authentic to what you feel, what you're perceiving, what you start to understand, to your intuition. Live in harmony with yourself. You're going to generate that harmonized vibrational energies globally. So imagine if just half the population of this planet start to vibrationally emitting more harmonized energy on a constant basis. What do you think will happen to your planet or
Wow.
this reality, right?
Yeah.
It's a big wow, right? And
Hmm.
yet it is so available to you right now. It is very palpable. What we speak of is palpable to you now. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah. My guides have said to me that it only takes less than 5% of people to live consciously, to live in that alignment with source, to actually create critical mass that'll change the consciousness of the whole planet. But this is not people understanding the knowledge or watching podcast shows or reading the books. This is people living it. They said we have to stipulate there is a great population on the planet who are seekers, but then there are those that are living it. They're living outside of conflict, and they're living in a more fifth dimensional matrix within their own energetic structure. And it only takes less than 5% of the planet to live that, and it will like explode in the minds across the whole planet. But I wonder, there are those beings that are so engaged in the conflict that they just don't want to change. They don't want to change. They want to stay in the fight. What happens to them? Do they leave the planet? Does the planet split? What's going on? What do you think?
Well, there is a soul group on the planet, and they are all related. It's not about group family or your siblings or your ancestors. There's a soul group on the planet of souls who are meant to continue to evolve in a third dimensional base energy or a very similar third dimensional reality matrix or a very similar construct. And they are designed in a sense that they need to continuing, they feel familiar, comfortable in that frequency, and so they will simply continue to generate the same frequency and be in alignment with a past memory aspect of a planet or Gaia that is simply still existing in that memory field on the third dimensional level.
Mm-hmm.
The builders of forms are these beautiful beings that coexist between plane of existence have shown me that is still allowed to evolve. It is still soul evolution. And as we are multidimensional being, if you accept the fact that all of your past lives coexist with you right now, whether it's a projection of a multitude of being different star beings, whether you have been a mermaid, you are dolphins, you are earth being, all of these realities coexist with you. Well, it's the same thing that there's a mini version of Gaia or projection of herself that is coexisting right now. What we are witnessing is more of a greater reharmonization of these aspects of Gaia to finally return into a more natural celestial divine self, where an aspect or a memory aspect of Gaia still vibrating on the third dimensional density will be maintained and the soul simply redirect at that level. But again, souls will continue to learn, evolve, and some of them will move out of that timeline or that time construct and simply start to embrace new octave of consciousness and says, I am now ready to shift. We do this with souls who come to us to the Arcturian Stargate. When they leave the Earth plane, we help souls coming from other planets to reassess the life or the incarnation they just experienced and understanding what is the best next level of soul evolution can we help them redirect into. We do that also with our children on the planet or within our realm. We always coach the soul to what is best for that soul for the next level to achieve and return into the space of complete unification with the prime creator. So it makes no difference here on the planet. It is simply lived or experienced at a different level because you feel like it's a separation. There's no separation. It's just a continuous aspect, but simply in a different timeline, different time construct, if you want to call it this way. Again, semantics.
Have you been given, thank you for that. Have you been given any insight into your future life on Earth, or that awareness of, like, are you coming back when you're finished in this particular body, or maybe future life on other planets?
You mean on a personal level?
Yeah, on a personal level.
Yeah, I love this. So I have seen within this timeline I'm in right now, I have been shown aspect of the impact of my work coming up in the future timeline. I'm here
Nice.
for the future timeline. I'm really here
Yeah.
for the reascension. I'm here for that conjunction. So we have to be very patient to wait and still be of service. So I'm not fully activated just yet, but once I'm fully active in my full power, this is very much where we're going to shift. And my role is to bring the souls into the next harmonic universe, to the teachings, the next level of what we're going to be offering, and more travel around the globe, which I already initiated, traveling more, connecting with different cultures and part of the grid system. So in that point, I have been shown the impact that I'm about to have in the future timeline of
Nice.
Gaia and for this in this reality. And from a perspective on the soul level, well, once everything here is complete, and I have been giving a time frame where I'll be completed that, and then I'll have given a choice. I can come back to simply, I'm going to dissolve this holographic form and simply shift back again into my Arcturian self. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to return simply within our people and retract back into our own realm. And from there, I want to reassess with the Council of Elders, and I'm also part of other council. And I may potentially leave that construct and take on the invitation I received a few years ago and just return to be a pure consciousness. So it's already open in that level, and I can feel all the possibility already unfolding around me. But one thing I can tell you, though, in my heart, I am very engaged with seeing this planet returning into her original self. I'm very engaged with seeing being liberated, freeing themselves from this holographic projected manipulated reality, and really being able to say, I have learned from it. And disengage and being able to, I am very, let's say, passionate and very dedicated to what I have come, the promise I have made, and my commitment I have made to the universe and to this planet.
Wow. Yeah, I can feel that commitment in you. Me too. Me too.
Of course.
They tell me I'm going to be here for a long time. I said, I don't want to do old age. They said, yeah, we'll have that conversation when you're a bit older. But yes, it's it's exciting times to see that we are at the precipice. Yeah, it's exciting times, but there will be more disruption before we get there. And not to get too sucked into the disruption like we talked about, not to get sort of sucked into that vortex of argument and disruption, to sort of stay outside of the matrix, live outside the third dimensional matrix, live in your own matrix of bliss and love and peace and higher consciousness. Oh, Viviane, there's a couple of minutes to go. This conversation, I agree with Moby, has been so rich and magical. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. It's just been a blessing, and to have you here sharing your wisdom. Anything you'd like to say in the last minute we've got left before we go? 30 seconds, actually, we've got.
Karen, thank you so much. Always a joy to be in your presence. We recognize also your work, your presence, what you do for everyone watching and will be watching. I am going to be traveling more to be in the presence. There's many opportunity to work with us. We have our beautiful online universal Arcturian community. You can also join us, very affordable. We give so much. And the tools, the richness, when you think about this interview being rich, imagining being part of our community and learning with us every month, it's very much what we're here to do. Ultimately, there's no difference between us. It's simply a state of presence, a state of light, a state of vibration. Stay in your light, everyone. No fear anymore. It's really all about the light.
And your website is Infinite Wisdom from the Stars. Thank you.
Healing.
Thank you again. Infinite. So say it again.
Infinite healing from the stars.
Infinite healing from the stars. Bye for now. Thanks, everyone.